Hey everyone, my name's Danny. Welcome back to the channel. If you haven't already watched the first video, you can go, I suggest going back to watch that, and that's just a little bit about myself. Today I'm starting a new series called Pros and Cons. This is going to be maybe maybe we'll do this series once in a while, depending on what I want to talk about. But I thought it was a good way to kick off the YouTube channel. And so without further ado, let's get into pros and cons. Now, this first part of the series is going to be about community college. I'm doing the first couple of videos about college, about education, and how it relates to graphic design and art and design in general. And these videos are mostly educational and predominantly just my opinion about how I feel about each individual topic or realm of education. I have a degree in community college, and so I'm going to give a little bit of my feedback on from my experience in community college, some pros about it, more of an objective look, and some cons because not everything is perfect, and it'd be great to talk about those as well. So without further ado, let's move on. So some pros. We're just going to start with the pros here. Number one, of course, is savings, and this just goes in general. But specifically with design and art and design, you can save quite a bit for getting a degree in some degree in design if you want some sort of certification or some sort of training in graphic design or fine art or animation or whatever you're interested in and what's offered at your school. You're going to save a lot of money by going to community college right off the bat. Compared to starting off as a freshman at a four-year university. That is something that I personally loved about community college, is that it was next to nothing. Now this is obviously different for every individual, but for me it wasn't really all that much. On top of that, parking was free. The labs, you had a lab fee, but then printing was free for the most. After that you paid a $50 lab fee, which was in your tuition, and you would end up saving quite a bit of money with printing and whatnot. And the so yeah, you overall the amount you would be saving is like night and day. And so that's why one thing that's if I have to recommend community college to anyone, the number one thing is you're saving a lot of money. Than going straight to a four-year, or if you're going back to college, I would recommend going to a community college than trying to transfer into a four-year, just because you will be saving a lot more money. The pro number two about community college, which could also be number one, these really aren't in any specific order, but I mean number one is pretty important, but this is also another one where it's just like you can figure crap out. You can figure a lot out while you're at community college. You're not kind of stuck with these large bills. You're not stuck at a dorm. You're not stuck at a lot of, you don't have a whole lot of pressure to finish in 4 years. You have time, and at community college, it's the best time to figure out what you're really interested in. Some people might think, oh, I really want to do graphic design, and they try it, and it doesn't hurt to just try it and take a couple classes, and then it's not for you. But if you go to a four-year college, you could still try and do that. It might just be a little bit harder. And I guess the reason why I'm saying this is because the community college, which kind of goes into number three, community, it's right in the name. It's very small, tight-knit. You're going to meet a lot of friends for life, typically if you're in a graphic design program there, because it's so small compared to a four-year. And the professors and the faculty at community colleges are a lot more personal. You can get really close. You can get a lot closer with them sometimes than compared to a four-year. And this is just speaking objectively, but in my personal opinion, I've made friends for life at both university and community college. But community college is where I really started, and that's where my roots started. And if it wasn't for the community that I had, the small little graphic design department that was tucked away in the math center of my community college, where we literally didn't really exist to many people. They would just kind of walk by and say, "Oh, look at that, all that art on the wall," but they didn't quite know what was really going on. Um, that's one thing that's one other thing that I would say is really at the forefront of why community colleges are so important is because no matter what field you go into, but if you do go into art and design, you'll always come out with a decent education and great skills and of course friendships and networking that you probably couldn't have gotten elsewhere. Now with that, obviously there are some cons, and these again are my opinion and a little bit more objective based. And I will preface by saying I had the best experience at community college. I really have nothing bad to say, but when coming up with some ideas and some cons, these are the ones that I came up with. So the first one is this one's kind of more depends on the program that you are going to, but they are very tech heavy. And what I mean by that is you learn the programs a lot. Like it's very program based, so you're really learning the ins and outs of all of the programs. And while this is great, sometimes you kind of get lost in that and you don't quite learn this conceptual aspects of design. Now they do, no, that's not to say community colleges don't offer intro to graphic design and principles of design, which they do, and it is taught. It's just that comparing it to my experience at a four-year university, you learn a lot more of the technical, how to run Adobe programs, how to package a file, how to set up your files for print and web, learning how to print files, learning how to comp your projects when you print them out and mount them on boards, doing a presentation with physical projects, not so much digital. It really teaches you a lot more. So it could be, for some people this might be a pro, and for some people this might be a con. For me, it's more of a little bit of both, but I put it in the cons just because I think I think community colleges could get a little bit, and I think they are getting better with teaching concepts and pushing students in the direction of um, building up their projects to the best that they can do, and really showing how they can do that. Another con for you, and this wasn't so much for me, but this might be for other students, is that it's very small. It's almost, I can kind of compare it to High School 2.0 at the beginning because it is very small. Typically, a community college is just a few buildings and maybe like 1,000 students, maybe less, maybe a little bit more, depending on which one you're going to. My community college was fairly small, kind of tucked away in the woods, and the graphic design department, like I previously said, is very, very small in comparison to other majors at the college. So keep in mind you're not going to be getting that real college, like huge college experience with, well, again, it depends where you're going, I guess, but in the ones in my area, you don't quite get that huge college experience of dorming and parties, and you kind of you go to school, you do your work there. We have a lab that we worked in, and most of us are there all day long, but then you just go home. There's some extracurricular things to do, but and another thing is like community colleges offer study abroad, but at university there are just a lot more opportunities, I would say, to network, to meet other people, and you're meeting other people in other majors at a four-year university. So if you're going to art school, so you'd meet people in the photo department, in the animation department, whereas at a community college, they might not have those programs, or if they do, they're very separate, and you don't quite run into the people that you want to run into. So that's just another con that I kind of came up with here. And then finally, and this is again very subjective because I know a lot of people who have gotten jobs right out of community college. It is possible. People are doing it. This is just kind of a thing that I've seen as I'm job searching right now, is that you'll see a lot of jobs that say we require a BFA in blah blah blah, or we require this amount of training in this specific field, specifically in design. I hear this a lot. And the jobs that I read every day, it always seems to mention a BFA or a bachelor's degree in this field. And while this seems, I kind of wish we got away from this. I know a lot of businesses are moving towards hiring people without college degrees or with college degrees. It doesn't really matter, and it shouldn't matter in my opinion. I feel like if you're capable of doing the work and you have maybe some experience or you can prove that you can do the work, you should be qualified for that job. But that's just something you might run into with only an associate's degree. You might, when you get out of college, start job searching, you might notice that a lot of the jobs are requiring a BFA. Now, again, apply all the way to those. It could, because if your skills can show that you can do it, you might land that job, and that's great. But I thought this might be a con just to put in here. And again, uh, subjective. This, like I said, this can change for anyone. And so some final thoughts to wrap up this first video in this series of pros and cons. I think community college is extremely important for the future generations in not only art and design, but in the world and in specifically the America. I'm not sure if other countries have community colleges or something like that. Maybe it's a junior college or something like that. But specifically with art and design, I feel like it's a great starting point for students or young designers to kind of figure out what they want to do. Do they want to do graphic design, or do they want to do illustration? And they can take a couple classes. They can dabble in some other majors while they're there, and they're not kind of stuck in this one major for 4 years and then coming out with a degree that they're not really interested in. Although that, saying that, going to a 4-year university might be a good option if you really are set on what you want to do and you do want that full college, I guess, quote unquote, college experience. Whether that's you want a dorm or you want to, be in the city and be with loads of other people, and you really just want to get through it and get that 4-year degree. I would just caution that and look at all your options. Don't be coerced to skip out on community college because some people might say that it's not a real degree or it's not legit enough, because it is. And so I would say that there are more pros to community college than cons, and that's just how I feel through my experiences. And so with that, I'm going to end this here. And again, thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe. I'm going to be doing another video coming up on the pros and cons of 4-year university. Some of these points might be repeated, but I feel like it'd be good to go through that as well. And so hope to catch you in the next video. See ya.